Good afternoon and welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about why writing things down is important and also why sometimes when it comes to growing your business, how will I put it? Sometimes you're trying to grow your business and you're trying to go at it with the right level of intensity, the right level of activity, but you don't realize that, sometimes you're not putting in enough work. Not as much work as you think. And that's because you're not writing things down. So the reason why we're talking about this today on the podcast is because I've been talking with someone, coming up with a prospecting list, of course. And, the guy's like, I get customers now, I get boys, that whole feeling, like you feel like there's people behind you. So that when you start this thing, when you enter into the market, there are people who are behind you, people who will support you, because the guy's like, I get them plenty, like guys, men, they're behind me, that kind of thing. And then I told the guy, write it down. And then we discovered something really, really interesting. So anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Number one, write things down. Number two, when you're trying to grow your business, you're supposed to come at it with a certain level of intensity. And perhaps you're not as intense as you think. Or you're not putting in as much work as you think you're putting in. My name is Tabashima Ayede. I'm the host of the podcast. If you like what you hear, subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, or any player of your choice. Because every other day, this is what I do over here on the podcast. Also, if you'd love to connect with me, you can call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. I like when you guys reach out. It's nice to have a chat. Oh, and by the way, I have a series of trainings that is planned for the 12th of January 2026, running all the way onto the 23rd of January 2026. Is going to be a 10-day training, so the weekends are off, Mondays to Fridays. It's going to be a 10-day intensive where we're going to be teaching people how to sell over the phone, because whether we like it or not, we have phones in our hands. You're currently listening to me. About 80-90% of you listening to this podcast right now, you're listening to these things on the phone. So you might as well learn how to use the phone to grow your business. Learn how to make phone calls and build relationships. Learn how to make phone calls, send text messages, send emails, do whatever so that you can advance the business relationship forward. So these are things that the training is going to be aimed at. If you want to get some more details so we don't turn today's podcast into another infomercial, then reach out to me, 080-6466-2140. Now, back to what I said is the main question that we're talking about today. So like I said now, because, people reach out. I give my phone number at the beginning, at the end of every episode. One guy reached out and the guy was like, bros, we suppose Jan. I said, okay, no problem. I like talking to people. But then I asked him, so how come you're reaching out? Like, what do you have in mind? You have a question? You have a comment? You have a query? Or you have a collabo in mind? Because it's no secret, I'm looking for money. That's the reason why I do this podcast. So if any of you, have any collaborations, like I'm down. There are those of you who call me up and say, look, I have this uncle, I have this auntie, I know this minister, I know this PAMSEC, I know this person. And, we could use a couple of trainings in the office, blah, blah, blah. Let's partner up. Your own share will be this, your own share will be that. I'm down for those kinds of arrangements. So I asked the guy, like, what's the plan? Question, comments, inquiries, or collaborations? And the guy said question. I said, okay, I was like that now. Then just send the question here. When I'm free, I'll respond. Now, the reason why I took that approach is because currently, because of the training that is coming up on the 12th of January 2026, I'm spending a lot of time on the phone getting to know the candidates for the training. Because when you work with me, everything is custom, everything is tailor-made. I don't have pre-recorded videos that I'll just play for you. Then when you play, I'll ask you one or two questions. When you answer and I give you certificates, say you don't do training. No, that's not how I do it. I am here. I'm available over on WhatsApp, mostly on WhatsApp. I know some of you like email, no vex. I'm more of a WhatsApp kind of person. So I'm here, available for questions, and I want to make sure that the things that we discuss are tailored to you guys. Now, the only way that I can do that with a great level of specificity, sorry about that. Yeah, with a great level of specificity, is if I ask questions. I need to know you. I need to know what you're facing. I need to know your business. I need to know your motivations. Where are you taking the business? What are your goals for 2026? All those sorts of things. So that when we now sit down in the classroom, we will now be going practical. Very, very, very practical. Very tactical. No theory, no fluff. We're getting straight to the root. So, because we're currently preparing for those trainings, I'm spending a lot of time making phone calls every day and talking to the people who have confirmed participation, or people who have inquiries, or people who want to register. So I'm spending lots of time on the phone. So that's why I couldn't chat with this guy. So the guy said a question. I said, okay, well, give me the question. Then after a couple of days, he said, don't worry, I've gotten the answer. I was like, oh, good. I'm glad you've gotten the answer. But still, I would like to know what the answer is, even though I don't have the question. Well, by the way, for those of you who reach out, don't be surprised. It happens. You think you have a burning question? You're ready to send it to me, but you listen to an episode or you think through things, and eventually you come through an answer that is kind of workable. It's normal. It's okay. But still, I want to make sure that if you reach out to me, that whatever answer you've come up with is the right one. So that's the reason why I continue. I was like, no problem. You have the answer, but still, let me know what the answer is, even though I don't have the question. And the guy's answer was on point. These XYZ are the kind of services he wants to promote. So he knows that he needs to start reaching out to friends, family members, and associates. When he said it, my heart was glad. I said, correct. I don't know what the question is, but your answer is correct. For most people, friends, family members, associates will be the beginning. You want to be a wedding photographer? Friends, family members, associates. You want to do graphic designs? Friends, family members, associates. You want to do chickenry? Talk to your friends. Oh boy, what's up? I've started a new hustle. Chicken business. I beg, I need your support. Christmas is around the corner. New Year is around the corner. Will Momsy take like 2 broilers? It's not expensive. Friends, family members, associates, people at work, the same thing. Oh, I'm starting broiler business. That is it. In the beginning, friends, family members, associates. Not because it's the ultimate, but because these people, you already have a relationship with them. There's already a prior context. There's already a prior background. So these people already trust you somewhat. So these are easy conversations to have. To say, I'm getting into business. I want to do something. Guy, I beg, I need your support. Big sis, I beg, I will appreciate your support. Uncle, I beg, buy from me. These are easy conversations to have. Now, by the time you talk to friends, family members, associates, you now talk to like 20, 30 of them. By the time it is time for you to talk to total strangers, you don't get some kind of confidence because it's not your first time. So when you're talking to a stranger now, you won't fumble. A lot of you are trying to get into business. You bypass friends, family members, associates. You want to go straight to strangers. And then you wonder, why am I fumbling? Why am I stammering? Why is my mouth dry? Why am I shaking? Why am I sweating? That's the reason why. So for a lot of you, it's just a very practical thing. You're getting into the business. Friends, family members, associates. In that particular order. Friends, family members, associates. Do I need to repeat it in case somebody still hasn't gotten the point? Friends, family members, associates. Now, of course, this guy had, 3 or 4 other business ideas, and those of you who listen, you already know my take on this sort of thing. Now, look, it's okay to have 3, 4 ideas, but the thing is, you can't push 3 or 4 ideas effectively at the same time. So what you need to do is pick one. Then, friends, family members, associates. From talking to people, from trying to sell something, you'll be able to figure out which one is viable, which one has traction, which one has demand, which one are people willing to pay money for, and enough money so that you can plow back into the business, and also there'll be something remaining so that you can flex. But I didn't want to overwhelm the guy. But for those of you who have 3, 4 ideas, that is it basically. Take it, list it in any particular order, and then start with the first one. Friends, family members, associates. Eventually, you will get all the answers you need. Now, this is a stupid idea, or this is an idea that works. That is how you select among the 4. But if you're going to say, I have 4 ideas, which one should I pursue? And then you're thinking, and meditating, and planning, and ruminating, and considering. Look, That is how you be considering from now, December of 2025, into March of 2026. You haven't started one business at all. So, it's very simple. Take your business ideas, 1, 2, 3, 4, list it. Then friends, family members, associates, start talking to your boys, start talking to your girls, start talking to your uncles, start talking to your aunties, talk to your momsy, talk to your popsy. It's important. Momsy will be able to introduce you to a couple of people. Popsy will be able to say, okay, go and see Chief so and so. These things, they help. Again, friends, family members, associates. So, even though I don't know the guy's question, his answer was correct, was on point. Then, as we're talking now, the guy say that no, that he has support now, that the guy get men, that there are people in his corner that know how. People pull up for him. The guy gets support. He has a support base, very strong. And I said, sure, I understand. I feel you. I understand that you have a squad and, your squad is always behind you. But I told him, look, when it comes to sales practice, what we do is we come with a prospecting list. Excuse me. Now, prospecting is the practice, the discipline, the strategy of trying to figure out who might be interested in your product or service. Then, as the name goes, it's a list. It has to be a physical list. Okay, not physical, it can be a virtual list. Either a sheet of paper with names written, number 1, number 2, number 3, up to number, whatever. Number 10, number 50, number 200, is up to you. But a physical list. Or something on your phone. Number 1 to number 50, number 1 to number 99, whatever. And as you're talking, you'll be scratching people off. Now, this is the reason why. I'm not trying to be unnecessarily stubborn or to put obstacles in your path to business growth. But the truth of the matter is this. If you don't write this thing down, this is what's going to happen. You start today and talk to a couple of people. You call Kunle, you call Mike, you call Bimpe, and then you call Shedrack. And you have some good conversations. You wake up tomorrow, and honestly speaking, you won't remember who you spoke to yesterday. You remember that you spoke to Shedrack and Bimpe, but you won't remember who else. And because there's no list, there's nothing guiding your activity, it won't be ordered, it won't be disciplined, it won't be well thought out, and then it'll be haphazard. Forward ever, backward never. What did they say? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That kind of motion. So that's the reason why it has to be a list. So that if it's number 1 to number 50, and you wake up and you see that yesterday you spoke to Bingbe, Shedrack, Kunle, and Adamu, you now know that, okay, today, Tuesday, if yesterday I spoke to 4, okay, maybe today I can speak to 4 again. Who is number 5 on the list? Who is number 6? Who is number 7? Who is number 8? And then you begin to go through it in order. You guide it. So that is actually the main reason why we come up with the prospecting list. It's the beginning of making sure that you have a sales process that is well thought out and that is organized and orderly. So please, don't be annoyed if you meet someone like me and the person is saying, where is the list? I want to see from number 1 all the way to number 10. The person is not being an idiot. The person is actually trying to help you because we've all been through it. You say, I know the people I'm going to call. I know. And then it's just in your head. And then you wake up at the end of the week and you realize that, honestly speaking, you only called like 5 or 6 people. There's no way that you're going to build a business and get it to grow if at the end of the week you've only spoken to 5 people. It's just facts. It is facts. Your business will move. Think about it. Let's say you say cakes. You sell cakes or chin-chin or you're an architect. Good. Let's say you're an architect. You're only talking to 5 people a week. How do you think your architectural practice is going to grow? How? Talking to 5 people a week means you talk to 20 people in a month. Talking to 20 people in a month does not mean that all of those 20 will have a need for your product or your service. Anyway, let me get back to the story. Oh, sorry. One moment. I'm making today's recording at home, so my wife is trying to call my attention. Let me just go and sort it out. I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that. I don't think I mentioned at the beginning that I'm currently at home in Benue State. Went to the villa to spend Christmas with Momsy and, uncles and aunties and everyone. And the kids are having absolute fun. And the problem with, for those of you who listen to the podcast, even when I was home in Abuja and it's just me, wifey, and the kids, finding a quiet time to record was stress. But now that everybody is around, trying to find a quiet time to record is seriously, it's a serious challenge. Anyway, wifey and I were supposed to go out. So, yeah, that's the reason why she was buzzing. So let me wrap this up quick and let me go for my date. You guys should pray for me that it goes very well. Because, since we got here now, how will I put it? Those of you who live in Lagos, Lagos now, you will have sights, you have sounds, in Lagos there is activity, there is, and then my wife is Ishan. So, even before you reach her village, you enter Benin, in Benin town, Benin city, you understand now there's options, lifestyle, music, food, Those of you who are from Plateau, your city, you get culture, you get vibes, Those of you from PH, Port Harcourt, you know how your city is. But unfortunately, your boy is from Benue State. And, Benue State is a little, you understand? Let me not say too much. Let me not abuse my people. But, we know ourselves. It's not as if we have. Anyway, let me leave it like that. Let me not insult my people. Anyway, so pray for me that this day goes well. Let me not take out and I should be like, is this where you're bringing me? Life is like this. I should have married in Benin State, where we have, as I say Benin State, I should have stayed at home in Edo State and married a Benin boy, where we have places that if you say you're taking your babe out, at least you carry her somewhere. Anyway, yeah, so pray for me that my day goes well. Now, to wrap up this thing now, I've already told you guys why you draw up a list. So now this guy said that, he has a squadron, people behind him. You get men, we go support him. So I said, you have up to like 10. The guy said, no, I passed 10. I said, no problem. I said, show me the list. The guy said, no problem. After a while, I see some messages. The guy, they laugh. I said, why are you laughing? What happened? The guy said, I started writing this list. And guess what happened? I said, what happened? The guy said, those my men I was talking about? I said, yes. He said, it's only 4 I could think of. Let me repeat, in case you didn't hear me correctly. The guy said he has squadron. He has men behind him. People that will support him when he's on the move. I said, are they up to 10? He said, no, he passed 10. But when he came to sitting down, he could only write 4. This is the reason why we write lists. In your mind, you're actually thinking the prospects that you have, the people that will support you, people that you can reach out to, your network. In your mind, you're saying it big. Excuse me. But in real life, it's not as big as you think. So it's not uncommon for somebody to think, why? When I start this business, there are 20 people I can talk to easily. By the time you sit down, you start writing, you see that you're struggling to reach 5. Even though, for some reason, in your head, you are thinking, it should be like 20, 30. So it's normal, and I was not surprised. At the end of the day, he could only write 4. Because honestly speaking, even though, we have thousands of contacts on our phones, we went to primary school, went to secondary school, we have loads of friends, realistically speaking, when push comes to shove, and you're about to get this business off the ground, the people who are in your corner, let's face it, let's be realistic. Or the people who might actually have a legitimate need for your product or your service, let's face it, don't be that many. They won't. So, this is the reason why we write a list. It helps you to face the facts. And for those of you who think, I came at this with the right level of gusto, but what happened? This is the reason why. In your mind, you're thinking you're talking to a truckload of people. But if you sit down with the prospecting list or you track your actual activities, you will see that in the month of January, you only spoke to 4 people or 5 people. That's the reason why your business is not moving. These are the many reasons why writing this thing down is important. Write it down. Now, I told him good that you have 4, but I also told him one thing. I told him, look, make sure these people are at least 10. And when you hit 10, let me know. Some of you will wonder why. Why is this guy fascinated with the number 10? I'm not fascinated with the number 10. I'm just being realistic from a sales and business development perspective. And this is the truth. There's something that we deal with in sales called rejection. Rejection just means when people are not willing to buy, when people are not willing to support, when people are not willing to go ahead with your agenda, when people are not willing to be a part of the program. We just call all of those ones rejection. And rejection is a staple part of business life. The reason why it's a staple part of business life is simple. It's because not everybody wants your product or your service. Not everybody needs your product or service. Not everybody can afford your product or service, or not everybody has a sense of urgency around your product or service, meaning there is no time-bound reason why people should take action soon. And even if you're not talking to prospects, not everybody is willing to support you. Some people are willing to support you, but, right now they're going through some stuff. Maybe your homeboy wants to support you, but maybe his marriage is on a rocky ground, and, right now, he actually just wants to take Christmas season and, spoil his wife a little bit. So people go through stuff. It's just life. So not everybody's going to be willing to support you. Now, because of this rejection, because there are going to be people who are not going to be on board, this is the reason why you need at least 10. Because there's no how, if you have a list and 4 people on it, there's no how all 4 people will be interested. You might talk to all 4 and all 4 of them are not interested. All 4 of them don't want to buy. All 4 of them don't want to support. Then what next? You now start feeling demoralized. So let's increase the odds that things will work in our favor. Come up with a list of 10 at least. Worst case scenario, at least one person will buy. At least, one person will try and support you. There will always be rejection. So that's the reason why when people come and meet me, I say at least 10. But left to me, the more we can come up with, the merrier. If you come up with a prospecting list, people that you want to approach, who could be users, buyers, samplers of your product or your service. If you come with a list of 50, I'm glad. Good. We have more people to work with, and we're going to get a lot of data out of the experience. Because from talking to people, from trying to sell your stuff, we'll figure out if there is demand, we'll figure out if there's the right price, and we'll also, because we're going to have lots of turns, lots of repetitions, talking to 50 people, we're going to be able to come up with a robust selling framework, a robust selling process that we know that when we start approaching total strangers out in the field, we'll know it will work. The reason why we know it's going to work is because we tried this thing on 50 people. However, if you try something on 4 people, your sales process, you only tried it on 4 people before you start meeting strangers. You can see now how your sales plan, your selling process, your selling framework might not be too robust, might not be too strong. So if you ask me, let the list be 10. If you can get more than 10, good. Big ups to you. Anyway, let me not stretch this thing for too long. I hope I've been able to convince you guys that writing this thing down, whether on paper or on the phone, is going to help you have a much more structured, orderly, robust selling process, selling framework. And also to show you the reason why, even though you think you've been putting in work, perhaps you haven't been putting in that much work. If you had written things down from the beginning, you'd have realized that even though you think you have a squad of like 50 boys behind you, really, it's only been 4 boys in your corner, or 4 customers in your corner, or 4 relatives in your corner. So, write it down. Let's make this list clear. Let's make this thing orderly. Let it be at least 10, because there will be rejection. And then let's start our business journey together. Let's see how we can make 2026 very fruitful and a very prosperous year. There's no magic involved. Hard work will be involved. So for those of you who are also going to reach out because you're interested in the training that is coming up on the 12th of January to the 23rd of January 2026, please, hard work is involved. I'm not going to tell you anything magical that will change your life or double your business, nothing. The magic has to be you. We will discuss some things, note it down. We will come up with some ideas, note it down. When we come up with ideas that are specific to you, to your context, to your business, to your situation, please go and practice that thing. If we sit there and we talk about ideal customer profile and we come up with a list of 10 candidates that might be good for you, but then tomorrow morning you actually don't talk to any of them, the fault is yours. The fault is not mine. The most I can do is to give you the information and try and hold you accountable and scold you to make sure that you get it done. But if you don't do it, well, now you do yourself. Anyway, let me run. Pray for me that date goes well. And for those of you young ladies who are not married, maybe you should marry somebody who comes from a much more, exotic place. Like Lagosians. So that by the time you go home for Christmas, there's places that you guys can go to. Don't go and marry a small town boy. All right, so that's it. Thanks for listening. Again, if you'd love to connect, Tavishima Ayede, that's my name. You can find me on LinkedIn. The phone number is 080-6466-2140. And subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, any player of your choice. And that's it. I'll catch you all some other time.